So here's the deal, everyone. Delves kind of weren't great for everybody, especially looking at you healers. I mean, they felt better designed for, say, hunters or paladins, but patch 11.1 changes that. Brann is different, and so is progression and difficulty, all the way up to you being able to get mythic gear. And that even compounds with prior changes to mean that it's kind of a game changer if you're a solo player. Now, we've played a whole ton of this, including the variants on patch 11.1's PTR, so today, here's what's going to impact you. Brann as a tank basically takes all the stress away. I mean, Brann is built different. Like, somehow compared to his completely busted behavior at the launch, his tanking skills are actually kind of top-notch. They're actually so good that tier 11 delves, while they're not exactly easy, they are in fact solo healable on the PTR right now, and that's even with a low-level Brann and Blizzard's test aura setting us to a rather pitiful item level 610, which is obviously tiny for a tier 11 in the new patch. So basically, Brann's damage as a tank scales with effective healing, so that means that even if you don't like playing a green DPS, keeping him topped up actually does the job, because as you top him up, he does more damage, and he's reliable as a tank. He takes a second to grab aggro whenever you pull, but he properly does things like AoE taunting, and he holds aggro almost no matter what, and that means that as a healer, well, you can heal him, you can dispel him, and do whatever the hell else that you want to do. Now, this is not exactly the fastest way to clear a delve. That's probably going to be juiced up to the tits DPS. That's because Brann's damage is useful, but obviously not as good as you absolutely pumping. But in a way, you could say it's the easiest, certainly the least stressful, by an insane margin, and for some players that will be big. Now, it's not free. You still do have to manage mechanics. You have to heal yourself after AoEs. You need to dodge area attacks, you need to dispel the right buff or debuff, but this really matters. It's hard to overstate just how smooth it is having Brann handle so much stuff for you, all while basically you just throw heals on top of him. It's kind of crazy. And that's not me being dismissive towards healing here. Most healers are designed around mana efficiency, cooldown planning, and emergency group triage as being the hard parts. But of course, it's just you and Brann, so those things aren't exactly problems here. All you basically do is just pump expensive heals on top of Brann when he's getting pounded by mobs, keep yourself topped up, be ready to dispel any dangerous debuffs, and there you go. You'll do the delve. Pretty crazy. So congrats healers, you can actually do delves in your preferred spec now. Doing this as a DPS with Brann as a tank is a bit of a different story though, and that's because Brann is rather needy as a tank. He's got no self-healing, and that means that once mobs start to hit real hard, you've got to use every bit of CC at your disposal to keep him alive. Tier 11s were basically impossible with a tank Brann, at least though with Blizzard's current scaling and the aura that they're using for testing. That's just because he would die to white damage and, well, that would be it. He'd be dead. Thankfully though, there is some good news. That's with Brann being reset on the public test realm. So he was about level 16 during our testing, and that means that just a few days of doing bountiful delves at tier 8, which by the way were easy even with her item level scaled down, well, that leveling up Brann should be enough to make those 11s doable. Pushing higher and higher with tank Brann, I would say, could actually be quite a fun challenge, and that's just because if you are a class with loads of CC, you can stun mobs, slow mobs, control them, revive him to full HP, I suppose, do paladin off healing stuff. That's actually pretty cool, pretty fun. And you can also, if you want, just wait out his self-revive timer. A timer that, by the way, adds some, I suppose what you could almost call classic-style squeaky bum time. That sounds a bit weird, but you know what I mean, and maybe that's just a British Isles phrase. Basically, you know that feeling in WoW Classic whenever someone is just a few swing timers away from death, and you don't really have that many tools in your kit, but you're trying to survive? Whenever Brann goes down and you're waiting out his self-revive timer, it can actually be kind of tense to just, like, survive until he gets back up. Anyway, the TLDR is running healer Brann is going to be easier for doing your tier 11s to begin with. DPS Brann will, of course, be the fastest one if you have got the gear and the skill. Tank Brann, though, is the comfy option. The cozy, low stress, just fully focus on DPS plus mechanics option, and if you're a healer, happy days. But if you've only played Season 1, there's something that may alarm you. I've been talking about tier 11 delves, which of course make no sense to do because they've got no extra rewards. Well, that is until Season 2. because this whole system's changing. This was announced with 11.1, but it's only now that it's on PTR that we really have a feel for it. Here's how it works. You can get gilded crests, the highest tier of upgrade crest, from doing delves, specifically from tier 11 delves. And that means that you can max out all of your gear without ever stepping foot in a Mythic Plus or a raid. Pretty crazy. That being said, there are some caveats, and I think it's overall going to be way healthier. Here's how that system works. They drop in their own type of chest, and you can only get 3 of those chests per week. And that does mean that you are not going to be farming tier 11 delves forever. So, you know, if you're a Mythic Raider, it's not going to be Ian saying,
Mythic Raider, get to the mines. You need to be a daily active user.
No, it's not that. Thankfully. Overall then, that's 18 gilded crests a week, which is, I mean, enough for 1 upgrade, but actually that is way underplaying it because of the other changes and how they compound with stuff that Blizzard put into the game a few weeks ago. Now technically it's not literally max gear because the best stuff is the Myth Track gear. Those only come from the Great Vault via doing high-end Mythic Plus or Mythic Raid, but still, close enough, it will be good gear. The Great Vault is still going to be dropping Hero 3 out of 6 gear for your tier 8 delves. That's where the vault will cap out, but these gilded crests open up 2 possibilities, and an increase to how many runed crests you learn opens up some other possibilities. So here are the 3 ways that your gear is going to be different. 1, finishing your hero gear. So before with runed crests, you could only take your hero gear up to 4 out of 6. Now that you can earn gildeds, you can take it up to 6 out of 6, which is pretty nice. The second thing then is crafting, because it costs 60 gilded crests, and then of course one of your sparks, to craft the best crafted gear in the game. That is item level 636. That is massive, and only 3 item levels below fully maxed out Myth Track gear. It's pretty crazy. But don't worry, because the benefits do not stop with crafted gear. I know that the whole crafted gear system does make loads of people's eyes just glaze over. I get it. So there's another change and a thing that it compounds on, and those will be really big. The other change is runed crests. So you'll actually get more runed crests from your tier 9 and 10 delves than you will get from your 8 delves. That means that those are actually worth doing, and you'll be getting way more of those runed crests, which is really good for upgrading more of your gear. But that compounds with another thing, and that is crest trading. And look, I don't want to give you a spreadsheet, I don't want to turn into Mr. Science Man, but basically, once you get all of your character's gear to the point where you can no longer use a type of crest to upgrade it, you can then trade that crest into some of the next crest up. And the big change is Blizzard changed all of the trading values to be way cheaper a few weeks ago. And that'll basically mean once all of your gear on your character is 4 out of 6 hero, which is very doable with these delves, you'll be able to trade those runed crests into gilded crests. 45 runed crests will turn into 15 gilded. And that basically means that, of course, because you're also getting way more runed crests, you'll be getting way more gildeds. And look, I know that can sound like a whole bunch of gobbledygook. Don't worry, we'll do a guide. We'll make it easy when the time's right. Basically, though, this is more power in your hands. Whenever Season 1 basically said, player, stop playing. Go into Mythic Plus now like a good little subscriber. It doesn't do that anymore, and you can keep on progressing your character via the type of content you actually want to do. Now, I suppose there's a caveat in that you're not going to be getting your best in slot items from delves, but I mean, come on, like, my fellow delvers, we don't really need that shit anyway. And what we have is what so many of us wanted for so long. A completely soloable way to play World of Warcraft, to progress our characters via the thing that WoW systems care about, gear, that isn't a brain-empty grind. Hell yeah. But some people are going to be pissed. Look, there will be MMO traditionalists, and in the past I would have been one of them, that won't be happy about this because it takes away from the MMO, because you can just silo yourself away in your own little solo hole. But you know what? I think the game's changed. Classic exists, Season of Discovery exists, that's fine, we've got loads of options, and now this is solo content, which by the way is a way that people have played World of Warcraft since the very beginning, that is not a slop grind. And yes, I'm seeing scared comments, Mythic gear in delves does seem like a big scary headline, but that's really just it. I mean, the reality is it's 18 crests a week. That's not going to kill the game. This is not Blizzard caving on WoW's core identity forever. It's them throwing hungry players a bone and getting some more gameplay that, by the way, is hard and punishing. And because of this, Mythic Plus numbers will probably go down a little bit, and that's been a topic in the community. But if you're a Mythic Plus player, I think if this makes your numbers go down, that's a good thing. Here's why. World of Warcraft pushes people into Mythic Plus who don't respect the mode. They don't enjoy the mode, they don't want to learn, they just want the gear, and the game's telling them that's where the gear is. And that sucks for everybody, especially if you love Mythic Plus, because M Plus does have some genuine deep issues. It's way better that Blizzard works on those for the people who like Mythic Plus, rather than band-aid fixes that are aimed at people who don't want to be there and are only there for the gear. But that's not it for this video, because there's a problem. We can just talk about systems till the cows come home, but if the content shit, it doesn't matter. So let's talk about the content. Here's where we got good news. Delves are changing in more ways. Even the new delves and the variants added to past delves, at least the ones that we've tested so far, actually show Blizzard have acted on feedback. And it's pretty damn good. So Side Street Sluice is one of the new delves, and it's simply just a cool location. It's fun, but it's actually better than just that because the variants are substantial. There's a normal walk through and clear it out version. There's one though that has got blocked off routes to bypass using bounce pads and teleporters, which is pretty fun and inventive, and another version with a remote controlled robot to pilot. That's all pretty nice. They're variants that actually feel like variants. Then there's Excavation Site 9. It's totally different energy. It's not like goblin fun. It's more oppressive. Black blood, void creatures literally everywhere. It's peak vibes. I love it. You've got drills to start and defend, goblins getting lost to the whispers, just tons of flavor. It's a great delve. And what's been a pleasant surprise is the old delve variants. They haven't been a slouch. As an example, one in the Takrathan Abyss, it actually removes the entire water breathing mechanic. It adds new characters that we meet in Undermine, and it's got a boss with a mechanic that's not been seen in any other delve, which is not what I expected from an update to an old delve. And so it basically is turning out that small, self-contained, solo mini-dungeon things let designers actually experiment in what feels fun to play, which hopefully means that like mushroom, circle, dispel thingy from that one delve never happens again, because it's basically pain. My takeaway for you for this video, though, is actually very positive, especially when you've got Brann learning to tank, gilded crests from tier 11s, the crest trading system actually being a useful thing that you can kind of engage with. Delves in 11.1 are going to cement themselves as the endgame pillar that we all wanted them to be. That feeling of playing Season 1, enjoying Delves, a little bit of a honeymoon phase, and then realizing, oh, it's now just show up, do my tier 8 bountifuls, that's it. Other difficulty modes exist, but who cares, they don't matter. That's kind of been solved. But that's not the only thing I've got for you. Blizzard's new D.R.I.V.E feature is absolutely unhinged. I kind of love it. Other people are going to hate it. At the very least, it's interesting and it looks like a prototype of dynamic ground mounts, and you can check it out in this video next.